Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Astrology Hub Podcast. Today, I am so excited to be here with Dr. Stormie Grace, astrologer and business professional. And we're talking about a topic that is super juicy to me and very near and dear to my heart. And I can't wait to hear Stormie's input and interpretation and guidance on this topic. We are going to be diving into business in Aquarian times. And we all know lots of things are changing. And along with that, we're having new opportunities and new things to explore in the way that we do business. And Stormie is here to help us get some insights into what kind of things, what that might look like, and new opportunities and places to explore there. So Stormie, I am so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me or having me back. I feel like a few times a year we just pop in together and it's always awesome.
It is. And it always feels like welcome home, Stormie. Glad you're here. and if you haven't, I don't think I have all the podcast episodes that we have featured Stormie on, which is quite a bit now. So you can get more, information about Stormie's background and her story and how she came to practice astrology and even her focus on business and astrology in our podcast episodes. We'll make sure and we link those in the show notes so that people can go back and learn more about you, Stormie, and all the amazing things that you're up to. But let's just start with the big question of what do you see is the biggest invitation for doing business with this Aquarian flavor?
Well, I think, it's the one I think we've been hearing about just since last year. The biggest invitation is to engage longer arms, extend your reach. We are in a time where the internet is in its prime and becoming more powerful. And that means that we are not limited in the business that we're doing. And that is, I think, one of the greatest invitations that's available. And, not just in the business that we're doing, but the businesses that we do business with. We are no longer in such a limited capacity. So I think that the real invitation is to Aquarius, be the skyscraper, go up a little bit higher, go out a little bit further, break free from what it has been and see. It doesn't mean that what has been isn't good and has value, but what else is available to you that you maybe just couldn't look around at before? And that's a pretty big invitation.
So you're seeing just an expansive opportunity to go in new directions that weren't available before and that requires a shift in mindset, right? I mean, if we've been thinking that certain opportunities are available, all of a sudden it's like, well, there's a lot more here to explore. So you're just seeing an extension in the ability to have impact, I'm hearing, as number one, but then also in what actually is possible to accomplish. Is that Absolutely. A paraphrase there?
Yeah, that's a great one. And I mean, I can just even give an example. So we have astrology, we're doing all of the things. And in my practice, it's business and astrology. But in 2020, what I realized is that I had plenty of students that I didn't realize before are in Korea. So I got to take on the project this year of learning Korean, with the intention of taking my business and what I'm already doing. I didn't have to create something new, but now I can extend the reach to be of service in that direction as well. And that grows me, that grows the business, that grows the connection, So it's all this beautiful triangulation. So that is an invitation that I've accepted. And other businesses have been extended similar invitations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw this, I don't know, however many years ago when I started Astrology Hub, but even before that, when I left New York to embark on this new unknown path, it was the only real thing I knew I wanted to do was quote unquote something online. And I knew I wanted to feel passionate about it. I knew I wanted to be of service. I knew the qualities, but the delivery mechanism, it was like, I want it to be something online because of all the things that affords, that affords freedom of mobility. It enables you to have impact around the globe. Like there's all these things that were really attractive to it about it at the time. And it continues to just evolve and reveal more of that. What other Aquarian qualities do you see really coming to the forefront as people are thinking about different things they want to do, potentially utilizing technology? What other qualities of the Aquarian flavor would you bring into people's planning or visioning or idea creation?
I think the biggest one, I mean, of all of them, and I was actually sitting with this a couple nights ago, is that, it's really important under Aquarian energy to vibe in with that, to individuate, and that means you can't be exactly what the thing next to you is. And maybe you have to watch videos, take seminars, do the things to learn the way, how do similar businesses like mine or something similar to mine, how do they get this done? But then it's so important to individuate what makes you you, but also not to be afraid of that. In your business, provided you get it out there to start with, people are going to want to engage you that speak your language. And that's the other part of the invitation, I think, is don't be afraid to individuate. The planet is big enough. It is big enough for all kinds. So in that individuation, just do you. Do whatever it is, but do it in the way that makes you sing or just makes sense to you. But that, I think, is critically important, because what we're not looking for, and what I think will get lost, is if you are exactly the same as the person next to you or the business next to you, because then people will look for the business that is individuating. They're going to say, oh, well, this is different. So if you just look, sound, and act like everything else around you, you just might not be it.
Do you think that also has something to do with this? I know Aquarius has this mixed bag. It's like, it's about the human, but then it's also kind of has this like beehive, shadow thing. Maybe not shadow always, but the potential pitfall of like, now it's like this hive mind where everybody thinks, acts, and is the same. But there's also this focus on the human. What I'm hearing you say is tap into what's uniquely human about you and let that guide what you create and how you create what you create. And don't be afraid to do that. Don't think that you have to do it a certain way, that actually doing it your way is what will be successful.
Absolutely. And in the astrological world, we have the gift of astrology to help us do that. Your business that you set up is going to have its own soul, its own heartbeat, its own personality. Do business the way your business wants to do business. That is a great way to individuate, because if we understand nothing else, we know that there's an abundance of different charts, and your business will be one of them. So create a chart, do your elections, have your elections done, you know what I mean? And let your business be the soul on its own that it is. And that will help you maybe move away from the fear of individuating, because that business is its own breath on its own.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And for people that are like, what are you talking about? A business has a chart, a business has the way that I understand it, Stormie, and you fill in the blanks here, is that everything that's conceived, everything that has a beginning point, everything that's birthed into the world, including people and businesses, have a birth chart and a unique configuration of the sky at the time of the birth. So it's just the same way we can look at our astrology chart. We can look at the chart of our business, and we can look at the purpose of our business. We can look at the places where it has challenges and drawbacks. And so explain that a little bit more, because I think there's a lot of our audience that would go, oh yeah, for sure, I know exactly what you're talking about. And some that would be, this is a new idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like basically everything that you said, but yes, absolutely. From the time that you create that business name and you go ahead and you apply for your business license, or you register it, however you decide, you pick when your business gets to be born. But when you put it on paper and make it real and actualize it, that is the date, place, and time that your chart is born for that business. And so then, exactly like you said, we get to look through it. And I mean, looking at the nodal work inside of a business chart is incredible, because you can see, even at that level, what is your business growing into, that it is actually built to do. And I just feel like that is such a breath of fresh air, because maybe you are a soda company just like this soda company, but your soda company is built to do this. Like at an evolutionary level, it has this to add. That is brilliant. And I want to say too, that if you have a business already and you feel like it needs a new life to breathe back in it, you can create both a death, a time to end your business as it is, and a new natal chart for that business as well. And pick a time where you can breathe new life into something that you already have. So just things to consider.
That is awesome. Stormie, how do you see the axis of Aquarius and Leo playing into a new way of doing business in Aquarian, not in the Aquarian age, but in highly Aquarian times? Do you factor that into looking at what we can focus on and utilize in terms of energy?
Absolutely. Well, and I just believe in so much in polarity. I think the polarities inform each other. And so we've got a collective council right now over in Aquarian energy. So it means that the Leo energies on the other side are definitely getting a little energy, getting a little hit. But really, when we back up just a couple years and we get to where we had the Leo Aquarius nodes, the nodes traveling through Leo and Aquarius, I think we got information then. I think every single one of us got information then that will inform the practice now. What were you seeing then that you were needing to move towards your own voice, your own expression, your own thing? And now, because we are pattern watchers in astrology and in business, where are you bringing it into now? And we had a Leo moon, and it was real challenging because here it is, the collective is changing in that Aquarian vibe, and you've got this one little moon over here that is you trying to get your song out there, and that can be a little bit of a challenge. So I think specifically right now where we're at in the season, really finding your individuation and putting it out there may feel a little bit harder. Just hold tight for a minute. Right now, maybe gather your information, see what's happening in the markets around you, because as you're getting your business plan together, you do want to know what and who is in the market with you. That's very Aquarian, to look around the community. Form that future plan that you want for yourself. And as the planets continue to move by transit, you'll get back to the Leo season, and then we can really hear your song and you can refine what that looks like. Because Leo's song is really great, but not without the Aquarian audience, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So it's Absolutely. Really kind of a neat information axis that's going right now.
It's also the quality of independence versus interdependence as well. Like how to build something that is independently you. And we know we can't do anything alone. So where does the interdependence come in? And I think that balance is a really interesting thing to explore too. And there's like a lot of, sorry, I have a background noise. There's a lot of things to feel into and try on with it. Have you had that experience?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My gosh, I feel like, I don't know, you have a business too. I feel like every year my business will show me some new thing it's interested in exploring. And we get to go down that realm and figure out, well, how would that be mine? But how does that fit? And in that, that's a great place, I think, to just use one solid question. How does this serve? How does this serve? Right? Because at the end of the day, if we're doing any kind of business, it's still you got to have your audience. You got to have customers on the other side. So asking the question, even if it's a brand new exploration of something new or individual for each of us, how does this serve? But also, it's the Aquarian energy that we're vibing into, but Uranus, one of those co-rulers, is in the energy of Taurus. So I think it does push us all in that interdependence, in the direction of being honest and open-minded with the fact that even our currencies are available to be changing right now. So we need to be mindful and we need to be thinking about how does this serve and how will it continue to serve in order for me to have material resources that are coming to me, income, connective relationships, and things like that. So definitely.
How are you doing with, I mean, how do you advise clients too with the unknown nature of right now? So just there's so much changing all at once. Even if we make plans, there's a really good chance that we need to be flexible with them. But I mean, are you advising people to go out 5 years like we would maybe normally? Or are you saying like, just take it year by year or day by day? You know, how long ranging, and then also how to factor in the unpredictability that we know the squares of this year are very likely to bring, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can tell you that right away, as we were coming into 2021, my practice absolutely shifted from the 5 year plan. I was like, I'm not prepared to really talk about that with you at this time. Let's take it for sanity's sake, for mental health, wellness sake. Let's slow down and take this in smaller chunks, because the vision that I'm handing out right now is very much so being that reed that bends but doesn't break, because there's just so much uncertainty. But what there is power in right now is information. Information is really powerful to each of us right now, but in small, I have to have a little bit of information to take a couple steps. And then I've got to grab on and digest some more information and then take a couple steps. So it's very much so that kind of movement. But I'm also a practitioner who asks my clients, where are you at with your faith? What's happening in your faith life? What's happening in your spiritual fitness? Because that, I still to this day think, is the root that will tie us down, so that you can be the reed and you can kind of go with things and not break. And I do think in uncertain times, it pushes on the heart of every human being to figure out what we're tethered to that gives us grounding, whether those be practices, beliefs, whatever it is. But it pushes on the question of spiritual fitness from my insides out. Can I withstand? It's a good question for each of us, because the fact is, if you've had a little bit of practice in place, maybe you're doing a little bit better. If you haven't, it's a call into it. You don't just go into the gym and throw around 500 pounds. You gotta have some spiritual fitness in that arena as well. You gotta have a practice. So it's a little bit of all of that, but it is definitely the one day at a time kind of approach right now. I don't know that we have the capacity for bigger just yet.
Well, we could do it, but there's a high chance that we're going to have to shift. So it's like for some people, the planning process might make them feel better, but just knowing that like, okay, there's got to be you can't be rigidly attached. Like you're saying, the reed bending and not breaking. The other thing is a question you brought up earlier that I think no matter what happens will be of service to you to ask, which is, how can I serve? Like, how can I contribute? So no matter what's happening, if that's always your guiding question, then what I've found is that you'll find ways to help in times when people really need it. And in order to do that, that spiritual fitness thing comes really in handy, because if you're also getting thrown around in whatever's happening, it's harder to show up for people and be of service to them. So
Absolutely.
Both of the things you just said are super important to keep in mind as people are planning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is, I think sometimes, and I have definitely been guilty of it myself, it is easy to feel at the whim of my astrology. And that is not the case. That is just not the case. But I have to remember that. And also, in a very social year, align myself with people who are supporting my healthy habits, align myself with tribes and information that are supporting my healthy habits, and say no to some groups, say no to some events, because I don't have the capacity to move like that. I just don't, so feel free. Saturn is in Aquarius. Say no to some things.
That's the hardest thing. I mean, I feel like FOMO comes in, that fear of missing out. And also especially if it's things that you are excited about, you want to, or you see the potential in it, and it could be great. And yet what you're talking about is so true. maintaining that balance of making sure that you're taking care of yourself in all of it is huge. Because if you just say yes, 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 the thing that's going to go is you and your time for yourself, most likely. And then you
Right.
can't show up for all those things you said yes for. So
Absolutely.
it's definitely, I can see that. I like that you brought in that it's Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn's still there saying like, remember all those things you learned when Saturn was in Capricorn, like those
Right.
things need to thread through.
Yeah. And I think that Saturn in Capricorn for all of us, I mean, because they're just right next door. So we get to continue on the lesson with firmer foundation underneath us. So in that question of, Saturn in Capricorn, we got a good solid foundation of how to achieve underneath us. No matter how hard it was to get there or easy, we did get that. But from the Capricorn energy, then we skyscraper. We've built the foundation and now we get to go up, and in that time and the question of individuating, this will help you say no if you spend time figuring out what is yours. I've had so many offers to do things this year, and it was so nice to go, oh, wait a minute. I have to look at, does this fit the individuation plan? Or is this me being being a busybody, which I am capable. I am super capable.
Yes.
So considering those things even if it's just the business of your life, I feel like those are good things to check in on. But also remember, something beautiful was built when Saturn was in Capricorn in our lives, and now we get to grow from that. And I also just think we're at the beginning of Saturn in Aquarius. You're not supposed to know how to Aquarius expertly yet. Right? It's like showing up to your master's program, first day being like, I'm supposed to be a master already. Well, no, we're here for some training.
I remember the beginning of Saturn and Capricorn barely knowing what that even meant. Like we actually did a panel for Saturn and Capricorn, and the astrologers were talking about it. I was like, I kind of get it, but I don't really get it. But by the end of the 3 years of Saturn and Capricorn, it's like, whew, like, yes, I feel like I have my master's in Saturn and Capricorn. Exactly true. So yeah, we're at that baby stage of Saturn and Aquarius. And I love what you also just brought up about this individuation process. And when you're dedicated, Saturn, right, or committed, very Saturn, to the individuation process, it does make it easier to say no. I mean, I think that's and it also comes in with your values when you're really clear on what it is you value. Sometimes when you're saying no, you're saying yes to the thing you value, right?
Exactly. And it's beautiful because I have found that it can just be done in such a lovely way.
Yes.
It is almost as if, in practice, maybe you need a little bit of practice to feel good about it. But in practice in general, when I can say no to something, I say it with such gratitude that the bridge is not burned down. Right?
Exactly.
As opposed to when I say no out of a fearful place, I have torched that thing. They probably don't want to hang out again,
Absolutely. Well, can I want to use the example of the opportunity you brought to me just recently? May I?
Yeah.
Because this is an example of, you can, sometimes people come to you with an opportunity and you can say yes to some of it, but not all of it. So Stormie came and wanted me to teach for her YouTube academy this year as part of a project that we'll talk about in just a little bit, and do a few other things for for this project that she was working on. And there's this part of me that was like, oh God, that'd be so fun. I barely ever get to do the teaching. Like I'm normally doing the facilitating and holding the platform. And I love doing that too. It's like, oh, that sounds really fun. And I want to support Stormie's vision, and I want to be a part of the community, and I want to support the community. But if I say yes to that, I know myself, I am going to put an inordinate amount of time, energy, hours into showing up for it. And we have these other goals that we're working on. So what part of it can I say yes to though? And I was like, Stormie, come on the podcast. We want to contribute to the crowdfunding efforts. And here are the things that I can do, so I agree with you that when we take the space to really get clear on what we want and why we want it, then there's a graceful way to facilitate. Maybe it's a full no, or the yes, no, which is also another option.
Which was I just have to share on this side, it was such a fun, this is the times we're in kind of interaction for sure. Because Uranus is in Taurus and I'm in Taurus, and I just lobbed a Uranian idea over to my favorite planner on the planet. And you're like, well, what about plans? And so in our exchange, though, my individuated idea got to be thrown out there. We had a wonderful conversation about it, but I also got to learn because it's new to me, right? And I got to listen to what you were saying and consider it. And however this plays out down the road, I'm like, oh, well, Amanda, who knows planning, said this, and I can consider that in my next thing. So, and I feel like as we work together and we talk about Aquarian Times, it is exchanges like this, where we're both willing to, one, show up to conversations honestly, right? And then listen on both sides and learn and take what we can from it. I feel like everybody was nourished in this particular interaction.
Oh gosh, I have chills. I mean, because Stormie, it's this, so often we hold back our truth because we don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. So I could have said yes to you. I could have just said a full blanket yes, but that would have been saying no to something, to the things that I already have that are part of my /Astrology Hub's individuation, right? So right. I realized I couldn't say a full yes, but I could say the partial yes. But it's in the honest exchange that there's richness and growth for all of us. And I think that's a huge, I don't know if is that Aquarian? Because what I'm seeing is that it's really being pulled forth in so many areas. And part of it starts with that real honest, can I honestly assess what's right for me? Can I honestly communicate that to another person and make space for that honest communication? And then can we come together and see how that actually grows both of us?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so you see, I think that it is very Aquarius, but it's Aquarius Leo polarity. If I haven't spent enough time with Leo, I don't know how to Aquarius. I just won't. I'll feel like I am at the will of the people. And I think we all feel that way, especially in business sometimes. But to come back to, this is what makes me me, this is the goal, this is the time, that changes everything. That changes everything.
Stormie, as we're speaking, what is something that's coming to me is that this is also feminine leadership. There is something very feminine, and I'm not saying female. I know we always do that disclaimer. I'm not saying female, but I'm saying there's men, you're welcome to this just as much. This is not female. But there is something in the open softness and strength. I mean, there's the boundaries, but then there is the gosh, I'm not totally able to articulate it yet, but there is something in this very feminine way of exchanging. It's not like we have to be hard and have these like hard boundaries. It's like, no, I can actually softly communicate boundaries. I can softly, gently facilitate challenging conversations that, aren't the most fun. It's never fun to say no to someone. It's not, especially someone who's enthusiastic and you're enthusiastic about what they're doing, so it's hard to say no, because it's like, well, yes, I want to support your dream, and I want to support your joy, and I want to support your passion, but I can't in the way that you're asking me to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I think that, the word that keeps coming for me is that it is business along really intuitive lines.
Yes, that's really, the feminine part. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Which again is not to say that masculine energy does not have intuition. It comes built with its own intuition, and we have acknowledged that for centuries. And that is not at a body level, that is at an energetic level, and so it is that, intuitively I can get in this vibe with you for a minute, but also from just the business perspective, that doesn't fit, and it just comes off different. And it's a real experience, I think, to have.
You got to get it. Yeah, I mean, I literally had in 1 week, it was about 1 week, I had to have 3 or 4 conversations for with potential collaborations where I literally, the words came out of my mouth. I feel like I'm Saturn right now. I'm playing the Saturn role. Like I'm playing the like that more kind of what is it? I said, I feel like Saturn. And of course, I'm having conversations with people who understand astrology and they're like,
Yeah.
yes, you are like Saturn. You are big Saturn right now. And in that way, having the astrology to help language some things is really helpful because we all know
Mhm.
there's a space for Saturn at times. And
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I think it's profound that you're saying that, right? Because, you're talking about your experience at the beginning of Saturn and Capricorn, and we see that as this very heavy, this is the work, the machismo energy, but Capricorn is a feminine sign. We spent the last 3 years getting a solid handle on how to interact with feminine energy that creates structure. And again, that's not male, female. And so, of course, here we are in this very male, masculine energy right now. But we're like, well, hold on. We got some solid intuition
right.
underneath us. And that's beautiful to see
Yes.
that. And if you guys didn't know that, if wherever you're at in your practice, you didn't realize that Capricorn is a feminine sign, it is. It
Mm.
is. So we've spent years experting, getting our masters in that feminine energy to apply it now.
What you're bringing up about intuition too, which for me always feels like that a little bit more of a feminine element. I know there's a different way. The masculine expression of it feels more instinctual, like that, just like quick, instinctual.
Right.
But what I've found too is when we allow ourselves to make decisions from that intuitive place and trust it, and then have the conversation that feels uncomfortable or expressing whatever it is we need to do, it unlocks something for the other person. That's the
Exactly.
thing that it like, so that's where you're bringing up faith comes in, or trust that there is a bigger design, there is a higher intelligence, and that you're playing a role in that higher intelligence. And
Mhm.
by trusting your intuition, you're enabling the higher intelligence and the grand symphony or the puzzle, however you want to look at it, come together in the way that it's meant to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest portion of it is I have my voice and my individual piece, but I don't have the only ideas that are available. And I think that that's where those waves of Aquarius, where the individual is actually that top wave and it has to add to the whole. I think that's where it beautifully comes together because we've spent 3 years making space to be able to have conversations that are inclusive, that can support our individual situations.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
exciting.
Well, yes, it is very exciting. And speaking of, so in the inner circle, Frank Clifford is our guide. And one of the things he was saying, I know he's so amazing, is we always have soul work assignments and Stormie knows, she's been an inner circle guide with us, that we take the energy of the astrology and then we apply it. And there's practices we can do to apply it. And one of the invitations was to tap into your joy, like actually make space to really like discover what it is that's your joy, but also make an effort to support someone else's joy. And so, Stormie, this is part of my soul work assignment right now, is supporting your joy because you, like you said, you had this Uranian idea. I've seen you, I've watched you pull it all together. And I wanted to, and that's no small feat. I know what's involved in what you're doing because we do it, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of coordination. It's a lot of organization. It's like, wow. And you've done it in a very short amount of time. And I know that you're doing a crowdfunding project for it, which I also think is very Aquarian. And I remember when I first heard about crowdfunding, I was like, what a cool idea. So like, instead of having to go pitch your idea to the bank or like to an angel investor who may or may not like your idea, you get to put it out to people who decide if they think it's worth funding. Like that to me is beautiful. And so you're utilizing crowdfunding for your new project. So I'd love if you could just share a little bit about it and then And then we'll take it from there.
Yeah. Oh, well, it is very Uranian because trust me, I'm so happily Taurus. I'm like, oh, I will just do this forever. And that was not my experience. So this year I decided to take my personal astrology group classes and move them live and in front of everybody on YouTube so that if you have YouTube, you can access it. And I'm going to teach from the ground up for a year, just live there on YouTube. And then every month there are master teachers who will come in and we will teach together as well. So it's like deepening the experience with the information. It's really, I think, very Uranian, very, very, very Uranian. And we'll also have paid teaching positions this year because I don't know about you, but I felt like I studied astrology forever. And it's like you have to move. You have to go teach it now. You know a lot. Go teach it. So I decided, if this is doable, if this is what our community wants or is into, let's create a revenue stream here as well. Uranus is in Taurus. So we're going to take this astrology, Aquarius, Uranus energy, and give it an income stream in Taurus. So it is fully a very community Aquarian idea. It's all launched on obviously technology on the internet. And there are 28 now teachers, 30 teachers now who have signed up to teach as well all year long with us.
Amazing. Amazing. And what I love seeing is astrology getting out to more people, it's endless how the impact astrology is having on people's lives, and to make it available through different access points, different voices is so powerful. And I just love to be able to put this out to our audience to see if there's people that want to support it. I know so many people in the Astrology Hub audience are ready to start teaching, supporting, and I want to give that little nudge that if you're one of those people that's like, well, I'm not ready yet. This could be a great entry point. This could be a great entry point for you to just start getting your feet wet, start practicing on another end of it. So I think it's great. Can you please tell people where to go to find out more information, to contribute to the crowdfunding if they want to?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can come to my website at stormiegrace.com. Right there on the homepage is a big old link and you can click it. And we are actually in our final 4 days of this campaign. So it's really exciting. Like we're getting to the end. And you can also just go to Kickstarter and put in Stormie Grace Academy if you wanted to do it that way. And if you want to and are interested in the teaching positions, you can also get that information at my website. Or if you follow me on any of the socials, I'm basically stalking people online right now. So you can see it on any post that I have, at least for the next 4 days.
It's so great. Selfishly, it makes me very excited to have more people that can come in and teach and support, and because there's so many people wanting to learn, and
yes,
there's no end to the amount of pool of astrologers that we will need, all of us, and the world needs. I truly believe the world will be a much better place with many high quality astrologers in it. Absolutely. Yeah. So I love that you're doing this, and everybody go check out stormiegrace.com. Yeah.
stormiegrace.com.
And you could be a part of contributing to the final 4 days of her crowdfunding campaign for this. And I know you have gifts too, as a part of the, yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. At every tier of giving, there are rewards. There are gifts from you, from books. The other astrologers have kicked in things. Robin Langford is doing her digital calendar. Maria DeSimone is giving away her new romance series, video series that she's got going on. There are personal tutoring sessions. There's just at every level, people are kicking in gifts. We've got people who are gifting the subtitles to the videos so that not just the English market gets to take advantage of free astrology for a year. So there are just gifts left and right. There's no way we're going to say, hey, support us, get out of here. Like we have a little thank you for awesome. We have a little gift.
Awesome. So check that out, everybody. Stormie, thank you so much. The other thing that's exciting for us, the other part that I could say yes to when Stormie approached me about contributing to her new project was participating on her business channel. So she has Stormie Grace. Is it Stormie Grace Business? Is that what it is?
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
we will be doing some special episodes over there probably in the summer. Is that when you're thinking your interview series will start?
Yep, in the summer. And it's going to be really exciting because we could listen to each other. We created a whole other thing.
Yes, exactly. So I'm really, really excited about that. This topic for me about new ways of doing business, of new, just new practices, new approaches, new energy, breathing fresh life into the way that we've been doing things is just, it's so juicy for me. It's so exciting for me. It's like, it just feels like a whole new frontier, and there's so much to discover, and so much of it is experimenting. Try this, we try that, we try this, we see what happens, and it's just fun to have a co-collaborator in that, because I know you're doing the very same thing with your business, and it's fun. We can share stories and we can share things we've learned, and then we can share it with all of you, which makes it even more fun.
Absolutely. And it's in sharing, I think we welcome people to the path, or we welcome to the adventure, because it means we're all going to have the same little crying boogery moments together. We're going to have some joy together, and we just have human relation and understanding as we're going through this stuff. I think that widens the path for more of us to get on it.
Absolutely. Stormie, thank you. Thank you for being here for this episode. Thank you for all the work you're doing to further astrology, to support the astrologers, just to get the word out and doing it in your way. That's the key. That's one of the main things that we talked about today, is bringing your unique flavor to the way that you're doing things. So I really appreciate your time. I appreciate all of you for being here. I wanted to just make sure you know about some of the new shows that we have during the week. We have Storytelling now with Gemini Brett. For those of you that are interested in the stories and the mythology and the magic of the actual night sky, Storytelling is happening on Tuesdays. So tune in for that. And then we have Seeds of Light, which is on Fridays. And that is our show that is dedicated to parenting, to children, to grandparents. Stormie, you definitely are slated as one of the guests that we would love to have to feature, because I know that you have children, and this is probably near and dear to your heart as well. So you're definitely on our list of people that we'd love to feature on that show. And so check out all the new things that we have to offer. Make sure you go to stormiegrace.com and check out her crowdfunding and her new project. And thanks everybody for being here, for being a part of our very Aquarian community, and for making astrology a part of your life. We'll catch you on the next episode.